Evening, everybody, and welcome to Free. I'm Ryan, and I'm the pastor here. And dang, it's good to be with y'all on another Saturday night. We have a completely packed house tonight, which is really cool. It's a new day, isn't it? Dang, this is awesome. Hey, listen, this is a community for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. And what we do here is break the silence of addiction, and we create space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. By the way, people ask all the time, what's a spiritual refugee? Those are people who feel like they've been or they have been kicked around by religion. They've been kicked around by the church. Somewhere along the way, they were told they don't belong. And here at Free, we say, you belong. You're welcome here. What's the thing we don't do here? We don't do shame. So welcome to all of you online, on YouTube, on Facebook, on our website, to all of you Free Circles gathered across the country. Even if you're not live with us now and you're with us later in the week, we say welcome to you, and you are an important part of this community. We're glad you tune in each week, and we're glad you're here. We're glad all of you are here. A few things you need to know about tonight. First, if you are new in the house, we do have some welcome bags. Derek's going to get you a welcome bag if you're new. Just let him know. Did my mic just go out? Oh, it's back. Where's Derek? Is Derek here? There's Derek. Okay. If you're new, let this dude know. He's going to get you a welcome bag. It's got fresh roasted coffee from Wagon Coffee. It's got some information about who we are, what we're about here at Free. So get up on that because we'll run out of those bags. So if you want one, get up on it. Other things. So we are at the end of our series that we've been in. Do we have an image for this? I think we do. Yeah, we've been in this deep, clean series for the past 7 weeks. And tonight, we're going to close things down with You Are Free. Yeah, it's going to be good. Brandon Nelson's in the house. He's 5 months sober. He's going to share some of his story with us and talk about being free, man. I can't wait to hear it. It's going to be good. Y'all are going to hear it in just a bit. But before we get to all that good stuff, let's keep the good stuff rolling. Y'all know that we launched our Welcome Home fundraising campaign last week, and we just want to keep you updated along the way. We are taking the biggest steps. We started this thing back in 2018. Right now, we are taking the biggest steps Free has ever taken. We are moving sometime at the end of summer or early fall. We're under contract on a new space, 3 miles that way, 3 miles west. And so we're raising $600,000 to make this happen, to make this move possible, to keep growing, to keep the mission expanding. And here's what I'm always reminded of. It's never about a building. It's never about the space. It's not about bricks and mortar. Those things allow us to do what we do, which is creating space. Those things allow us to reach more people because it's always about transformation of real lives. So I want you to take a look at this video. It's our boy Ryan Johnson. There he is, all the way in the back. Ryan's going to be on video for those of you that are live. Show him some love. Here's Ryan.
My name is Ryan. I'm a recovering addict and a recovering atheist. As a person who's been an atheist since 16, I kind of became blind to the concept of like unconditional love and God and things like that. And I, for the first time, really feel it here. I feel the vulnerability. I feel your tagline, don't do shame. It feels like I thought Jesus Christ was to me when I was a child. And it brings me back to that. And I just feel like I'm home. Shame was probably the #1 reason in my life that drove me to depression and addiction. And that emphasis here makes me feel as close to spirituality I can possibly get. So when I first started my recovery, I was told that there was 3 primary things that were needed in order to make it successful. I was told that it was willingness, I was told that it was community, and I was told that it was spirituality. And obviously the first one is something that is personal, and you have to make that choice. But when it came to community and when it came to spirituality, free completely satisfied both of those categories. Why does the world? That's a big question. I think that what the world needs more than anything is to recognize each other as ourselves. And I think getting oneness with each other and compassion and love for each other is what is absolutely necessary for the human condition. And when I think of free, I think it amplifies those principles. Because when I come here, I feel nothing but unconditional love and unconditional compassion. And I think it's powerful.
Way to go, Ryan! Ryan and his wife, Kiara, we're so glad you're part of this community, and I know y'all have guests with you tonight, so welcome. And listen, I don't have to tell y'all that we need bigger space. I mean, for those of you here tonight, it's packed wall-to-wall people, so I don't have to tell you we need bigger space. And let me say this, we launched this thing last week, and guys, I can't tell you the amount of gratitude that has come over me with checks coming in the mail and checking the online, what's called Subsplash, our back end of checking your all's giving. I want to tell you this. We have raised so far of the $600,000 just this week. And want to keep this going. Yeah, let's celebrate it. Check this out. I got a call on the way here this afternoon, and this person said, hey, let the community know I will match the donations up to $2,500 tonight from right now till the end of the night. So if you want to give, I encourage you to go to freespiritualcommunity.com, give there, and listen, in the memo, put welcome home if you want to give to this campaign so that we know how to designate it. It will be matched. Everything given tonight will be matched up to $2,500. So we could have $5,000 go towards this tonight. How cool is that? All right, thank you all. Thank you so much. Seriously, thank you for being a part of this. I know it's sacrificial for you to give. I know it's a spiritual practice for you. And I know you care about the mission here of breaking the silence of addiction. So let me just remind you, there are 3 ways to give in this community. And the first way is to simply download the app. And it's a free app, by the way, Free Spiritual Community. You can give there, or you can simply go to the website, freespiritualcommunity.com/give, and you can give there. Or, third and final option, you can text the number on your screen, text Be the Wagon, and it'll send you through some instructions. Your generous giving here, your gifts help keep the ministry, the mission thriving. So thank you, thank you, thank you. You'll be hearing updates about this, about Welcome Home, the fundraiser. You'll be hearing updates throughout the summer. We have 90 days to execute this deal. So that's why I say throughout the summer, early fall is when we'll be making our moves. So thank you all for being a part of it. All right, let's get to how we do in this community. The way we start is by celebrating. So we're going to celebrate together. Take a couple of minutes and give us the good news. If you're online, put in the comments on Facebook or YouTube. Sobriety anniversaries, birthdays, babies being born, new jobs, the new stuff in life. We want to celebrate that with you. If you're here in person, we'll do our own thing and then we'll join the online community back in just a moment. But take a couple of minutes and let's celebrate the good stuff together. We don't ignore the hard stuff. We just save it for the end. We call those heartaches. And we do that at the end of the service. But let's start with celebrating together, shall we? Let's do it.
Hello world, wake me up to another good morning, time to go. Got that smile upon my face, 'cause there's excitement in the chase, this I know. Yeah, I'm going for the ride and find myself, I am alive, and I soar. Still I run toward the wind and let the challenge draw me in, 'cause I want more. Oh, we are all loved or get up and go. There is joy found in the race, and I feel it in the place where I'm free. And I simply can't deny it, that I feel adventure calling out to me. Yeah, we are all looking for adventure. 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 We are all looking for And I'm living free, living free, living free, and I was meant to be. Living free, living free, living free, and I was meant to be. I'm living free, living free.
It's the way we do in this community. This is the only church you're going to find where we celebrate you not being hungover, not puking your brains out this morning. Way to go, Kavita. We had one more. We're going to join y'all online. But we have a lot of celebrations in the house. Go ahead.
My name is Maddie, and I have 60 days clean.
Maddie, 60 days clean.
Here you go, Maddie.
It's one of the highlights of our week to be able to celebrate with y'all. How fun. Welcome, Tammy Canada,
Thank you.
my lovely wife here to celebrate with us. She's on. She's turned on.
Could be worse.
Let's just keep celebrating, shall we? Oh, I'm verklempt. Go ahead. Why don't you take the first one?
Now that I'm blushing.
Oh, that's my grandma. That's my grandma. Hey, Grandma.
Okay. Hey, Grandma.
You can't always make this stuff up. I don't know if you're on. Yeah, she is.
Okay, Marianne. She says, I'm so glad I was able to visit my sister. She is on hospice care. It'll be my last visit. I'm so happy to have a daughter who cared enough to make the visit possible. That was really
Yeah.
special. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Grana. Her name is Grana, by the way. You can call her Grana. We're celebrating that. All right, Michelle says, I am Ryan and Kiara's mom. I am rejoicing in my son restored faith and sobriety. I'm thankful for my daughter who's able to visit tonight with her brother. Yes, we celebrated them in person tonight, so thank you for mentioning it online. We're still celebrating it.
Good to have
We
you,
love having
Michelle.
moms in the house, don't we, Ryan? Yes. All right,
Heck
let's
yeah.
keep going.
And Kelly Epps, they just had baby Kerwin last week.
Mm-hmm.
They are celebrating Kerwin's first free service, and Steve and I surviving the first week of parenthood. Yeah.
Hold on here. Let's, on a count of three, everyone say welcome, Kerwin. 1, 2, 3. Welcome, Kerwin. So glad you're part of this community, only days old. All right. Awesome. Epps. Oh, this is mine, isn't it? Terry says, after a year of COVID chaos, the farmer's market is open.
Woo.
Yeah, we're going to celebrate that with you.
Peyton, he's around here. There you are. Hey, Peyton.
There he is.
Celebrating getting to see my auntie, Angel Trujillo, stars next week. It's been too long, and I'm happy she is part of this community, too. Yeah. Good
We'll
stuff,
celebrate
Pete.
that with you, Peyton. Thank you for sharing that with us. Okay, Jennifer Deckard, all the way in North Carolina, says, thank you, God, for bringing my brother successfully through his surgery. So grateful and blessed. Yes, we
Love
will
it.
celebrate that with you, Jennifer.
You know, Roy and Jennifer and Christy are all together in North Carolina.
They are.
Yeah.
Hey,
they're
I'm
all
glad y'all
watching
are
us
together. Welcome, all three of you.
And Kathy says, turning 60 on Tuesday and celebrating 1 year of recovery on Wednesday.
All right, way to go, Kathy. Let's do one more, shall we? Elizabeth Scott says, I'm in Georgia taking care of my niece and nephew. So blessed I could be during this time.
That's good stuff.
Yes, that is the good stuff. Thank you for sharing that with us, Elizabeth. We are celebrating that with you.
Oh, I have one, too.
Tammy has one.
Oh, I was so nervous this week because I had a health department inspection and I aced it for Wagon Coffee.
Yes.
That's my good news.
Yeah, they were, for those of you that don't know, that's here. So health department was here in the back checking out everything, and
Well, and free too.
and free.
They popped around in
Good
here.
news is we can stay open, right?
Yes.
We can still drink coffee. Phew. All right. Thank you, honey. Someone's asking me to share the password with them. Who is that? Amy Stevens? I'm going to share the password with you.
Thank you. I'm trying to give you some money.
Oh, okay. Well, let me get quickly on that. Okay, y'all. Thank you. You can keep the celebrations coming all week long, too. We'll try to stay up to date on this thread. You can still celebrate just because we're ending this time together. Doesn't mean you have to stop. Keep dropping them in the comments all night long if you want. And we are in week 7 of Deep Clean.
We keep playing with fire. Knowing it's a dangerous game. So we keep playing with fire.
So Jesus stood among a bunch of religious leaders who, by outward appearances, they had it all together. But they were an inward mess. They were bent on pride and judging others. And Jesus stands there and looks at them and says, "The truth will set you free." So what does it mean for the truth to set you free? So I have to make a confession to you all. I need to get serious with y'all for just a minute. You know, no one has ever accused me of being a handyman. I am not a handyman. In fact, in the Canada household, we only own a couple of tools. We have a hammer. We have some screwdrivers. I like to use these things as least amount as possible. People say, "Oh, but don't you enjoy home improvement projects? Isn't it like stress, like relief?" No. I hate doing home improvement projects. I've never enjoyed them. But y'all, check this out. Our grass, front yard and backyard, it is really growing. My wife just said, "Oh, geez." It is growing. It is not only growing, but it is super, super green. Now, maybe your grass is green too. We've had a lot of moisture in May in Colorado, early May. But y'all, check this out. I had 2 separate neighbors come up to me at 2 separate points this week, and they said, "Hey, how'd you do that? Like, why is your grass the greenest in the neighborhood?" And I'm like, yes, maybe I am Mr. Handyman. So, no, I'm still not. But we have some green grass. Let me tell you all why this is important, though. Because 2 summers ago, so this was a little less than 2 years ago, because it was the end of the summer 2 summers ago, I was pulling in our driveway, and I'm pulling in, and my wife, Tammy, is standing in the front yard, and y'all, she is smiling, grinning from ear to ear, and she is holding a can of this stuff, and it's got this little hose with a sprayer on the end, and she's smiling, standing there, and I said, "Honey, what are you doing?" Roll down the window, right? It was actually electric, so I push a button, roll down the window. She says, "I just got done spraying all the weeds because this stuff kills weeds, and it says it'll kill them within a day. So all the weeds, I went around and sprayed." And it would have been fine and dandy, except I was looking at this canister, and in big, bold letters, it said, "Kills grass." And I said, "Honey, I think you probably did get the weeds, but I also think we're going to wake up tomorrow morning and we're going to have a lot of brown spots in our yard." Sure enough, we woke up the next morning and there was dozens of brown spots in our yard everywhere she sprayed. And so for the last summer and part of this spring, of course, I have been digging up these old, dead brown spots, planting new grass. And do y'all know how new grass works? It's kind of simple. You take the grass seed, you got to buy grass seed, and then you dig up these holes and you put these seeds deep in the earth, under the dirt, in the darkness, and you wait for something to happen. Now, if you're like me, you get a little impatient because you got to water this stuff. And so you're praying for rain, and 4 days go by, you're standing over there with the hose, and you're like, "This is stupid. It doesn't work. Nothing's happening." One more day goes by. "This is stupid. It doesn't work." Then you go out the next day. You're standing there with the hose, and you say, "Oh, my goodness. Oh my goodness, that looks like little green blades sprouting freely through the ground. Oh my goodness, how did that happen? Isn't that exactly how life works? I mean, isn't that exactly how recovery works? You want to be free? I mean, this whole Deep Clean series has been about taking an honest look at our lives, and to take an honest look at our lives to see who we are. If we want to grow, if we want to be free, well, we actually have to go in there, don't we? We have to go into the darkness, the dark places in our lives that we try to avoid. But you have to go in there if you want something new to happen. You want to be free? And see, we have to get honest with ourselves. We have to get honest with God. We have to get honest with others. And in my experience, it takes a great deal of surrender to do this. But the truth will set you free. And in my experience, the top two things more than anything else that will hold you back from being free is a failure to surrender and a failure to forgive in your life. Those two things more than anything else will keep you from being free. There's a theologian. Some of you all know him. His name is Richard Rohr. Highly recommend him. Read everything he wrote, but start with the book Breathing Underwater. In fact, you should read it tonight. And when you get done reading it tonight, read it again tonight. It's that good. It's that profound. He says this: yes, the truth will set you free, but first it tends to make you miserable. And that's true, isn't it? Because see, without honesty and surrender, nothing new ever happens, does it? And y'all, I get it. Maybe you're like me and you have a love-hate relationship with this idea of surrender. Because it's like giving up, isn't it? Yeah, surrender. It feels like you're dying, and it can be such a long, painful process. It's the process of admitting we were wrong. It's the process of saying sorry. It's the process of admitting that life was unmanageable. It's the process of admitting that we don't have all the answers and we don't know how to do it. It's the process of admitting that we've been trying to be someone we're not. It's the process of turning our wills and our lives over to the care of God. And see, surrender will always feel like dying, and yet it's the necessary path to being free. You see those dark places in our lives, those character defects, as we like to call them, those dark places that we've been trying to avoid. Yeah, we have to surrender to those, don't we? Yeah. Some of you know my story with the 4th and 5th steps of working the 12 steps. I've shared some of this with you all before. And some of you also know that early in my sobriety, man, I was sitting at my sponsor's kitchen table 9 o'clock that night, because that's when we met. It was a Tuesday night like we did every week. And early in my sobriety, he says to me, Ryan, this might be hard for you to hear, but you are spiritually disconnected. And dang, y'all, when he said it, it scared me to death. It scared me. It made me angry. Because I'm thinking to myself, man, how is this possible? I'm a pastor. I can't be spiritually disconnected. I mean, if that's true, then I'm a fraud. I can't be spiritually disconnected. And so I try to fight this thing. And over time, what I learn is I have to surrender to the idea of being spiritually connected. And it's actually really simple. If I wanted to be free, I had to surrender to it. Because I could ask myself some really simple questions. Ryan, if you're so spiritually connected, why do you hate yourself? I mean, if you're so spiritually connected, why do you drink yourself every night to oblivion to numb out to pain? If you're so spiritually connected, why do you have to numb out? If you're so spiritually connected, why this? You know, and then in step 4, what are we doing? We're taking that fearless and searching moral inventory of our lives. We're going into those dark places And when you go in there, it's a little scary, isn't it? And you tell yourself, well, someone tells you to write this stuff down in a notebook. And then you tell yourself, well, no one can know this stuff. This is stuff I haven't visited in a long time. I'm not even prepared to deal with this stuff, much less deal. What if someone finds this notebook? What if people know what's really in here? What if people know those dark places? Man, that's scary, isn't it? And you're telling me it's all built on rigorous honesty? Scary, isn't it? And then you get to step 5, where you're admitting to yourself, to God, and another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. And if you're in the process, or you've been there recently, maybe you felt a bit like I did, this isn't going to go well. Man, if I really share what's in here, I don't know how they're going to respond. Man, well, they might turn on me. And y'all, what happened? Some of y'all know this. Every time I shared what I thought would drop his jaw, I'd get a, yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. You did that too? You felt that too? Man. I called Brandon on Monday morning, and I'm not sharing anything you're not going to share. Brandon Nelson, he's going to come share his story with us in just a moment, but he just completed his 5th step this week, and so I was calling him on Monday morning because I knew he was nervous about how things would go down. I said, Brandon, how'd it go? And he said, man, I think it went well. And he said, I just wonder if I'm doing it right. I wonder if I did the step right. And I had to remind him, and I have to give myself this reminder often too, that when it comes to the interiors, when it comes to the internal work, we don't do the categories of right and wrong. There are no rights and wrongs. We use the categories of thorough and honest. Did you leave anything out? And see, here's the thing. You might not feel it in the moment. You might not see it happening in the moment. You're saying free. Man, I don't know if I feel free in the moment, but I promise you the truth is setting you free even when you can't see it. It's like the seed that goes deep into the ground, into the darkness. Nothing happens, but you're doing the work. You're showing up. All of a sudden, there's a breakthrough. And y'all see the idea of surrender. It's not really a new idea. I mean, it's found in all the ancient wisdom and spiritual traditions. It's found in the contemporary wisdom and spiritual traditions. Has anyone read any of Eckhart Tolle? Yeah. Here's how he describes surrender. Check it out. We'll throw it on the screen. Surrender is the simple but profound wisdom of yielding to rather than opposing the flow of life. The only place where you can experience the flow of life is the now. So to surrender is to accept the present moment unconditionally and without reservation. It is to relinquish inner resistance to what is. Powerful stuff, isn't it? You let God do the work with you, the seed, even when you can't see the new thing happening. You want to be free? Surrender is the way to recovery. It's the way to the fullest kind of life. It is the way to you being free. It was 2,000 years ago when Jesus said it this way. All who want to come after me must say no to themselves, take up their cross daily and follow me. All who want to save their lives will lose them, but all who lose their lives because of me will save them. I mean, take up your cross. Maybe you read that, you say, Jesus, is this some sort of crazy talk? Because it sounds like you're telling me to come and die. Interesting, isn't it? Fascinating. How does Jesus always talk about new life? How does Jesus always talk about the good news? He starts with death. Death is always the engine to new life. Think about an apple tree. That apple's connected to the tree. It's growing, it's thriving, it's alive and well. You pick that apple off. In that moment where it's disconnected from the source, it begins to die. Then you take a bite of that apple, and that apple has a way of sustaining you and giving you new life. Life, death, new life. Isn't that the way of the world? Isn't that how it works? Take up your cross so that something new can live. Yeah, the central message of Jesus is about teaching us how to come and die so that we can actually live. All the parts that keep us from honesty and surrender, all the things that keep us from real life, Jesus invites those things to die. The parts that are always consumed with fear, yeah, that has to die. The parts that always have us comparing ourselves to others or tearing others down. The parts that always crave power and control. The parts about you that always have to be right. Those things have to die. You want to find life? Well, you have to lose your life. Do you want to be free? Surrender to the dark places so that something new can happen. And here's the deal, y'all. If you really want to be free, you will have to engage in the spiritual practice of forgiveness. There's a Greek word, some of y'all know this, we've talked about this word here. It's the word aphiemi, A-P-H-I-E-M-I. Say that word with me, aphiemi. There you go, aphiemi. It literally means in the Greek to send away. Now, apparently, Jesus in the early church cared a great deal about the concept of forgiveness because this word aphiemi is used 147 times in the New Testament scriptures. And see, there's a prayer as Jesus is hanging on this Roman execution stake called a cross, literally as he's dying, and he utters this prayer. Do you remember what he said? Father, forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. Yeah, it's like Jesus is saying, Father, send it away. This is not my burden to carry. It's almost like Jesus was saying, y'all can take my life, you can take my breath, but you cannot take my worth, you can't take my dignity. I will die free. Aphiemi, send it away. You see, not forgiving will always be the thing that keeps you from living fully in the present. You see, there's another prayer, and if you've sat in the 12-step rooms of recovery, or if you grew up in the church, or if you're part of Free, you know this prayer. It's called traditionally the Lord's Prayer. It comes primarily from Matthew's Gospel. And a group of people said, Jesus, Rabbi, teach us how to pray. And when you would ask a rabbi to teach you how to pray, it's another way of saying, we want to overhear you pray so that we can learn what's most important to you. And this rabbi, Jesus, starts to pray. And right in the middle of the prayer, he says, give us this day our daily bread. Remember that part? Yeah. Keep us present to the here and now. Show us the significance of this moment. Interesting, what's not in the prayer? Give us our bread for tomorrow too and the next day. And God, by the way, if you could set up some sort of system where we know the bread's going to be there next week, that'd be fine and dandy too. Nah, it's Jesus tapped into this way before Alcoholics Anonymous did, one day at a time. Isn't that all we have? One day at a time. And then right after that line, remember the prayer? Forgive us our trespasses, or our debts, as Matthew's Gospel says it, as we forgive those who trespass against us, or as we forgive our debtors. Aphiemi. Literally to send those debts away, because this prayer is about being free from the past. It is about being fully present in the here and now in this day, because this day, this moment is all we have. Why is this important? Because how often do we get stuck in the past? We talked about the past last week. You are not your past. How often do you get stuck in wounds that happened a year ago, or 5 years ago, or 25 years ago? And you see, not forgiving, it will always be the number one obstacle that stands between you and being free. You see, when you don't forgive, when you hold on to that grudge, you are saying, I'm choosing to live in the past. And it doesn't work, does it? You see, when you don't forgive, it is like drinking the poison, you drinking the poison and expecting the other person to die. It doesn't work, does it? Forgiveness is about you being free. It's to take the thing they handed you and to send it away, not send it back. That's revenge. That's vengeance. It doesn't work, does it? It's when you have enough courage, enough self-worth to say that this is not my burden to carry. This is no longer mine to carry because I want to be free. And if you're sitting here thinking to yourself, well, yeah, easy for you to say, Pastor. Just get up there and tell people to send it away. Just send it away. And if it was so easy, I would have done that yesterday. Now, let's be honest with it. You want to engage in the work, the spiritual practice of forgiveness? This will be some of the hardest work you ever do in your life. This will be some of the deepest, the darkest places in your interiors that you haven't dealt with in a while. Yeah, it's hard work. And it's worth it. You know, a while ago, I posted on my social media pages, I was talking about forgiveness, and I ended with saying, what's the hardest thing about forgiveness? And you know, the number one, overwhelmingly, the number one response was forgiving myself. Man. You see, maybe tonight, you need to do some of the deep, clean work with making peace with your story. That when you start talking and thinking about forgiveness, it has nothing to do with the other people. It has nothing to do with how she betrayed you or how he hurt you or they did something to you. It has nothing to do with that, but it has everything to do with you not being able to forgive the things that happened in the past. My brothers and sisters, fear me. Send that stuff away so that you might live well with yourself, so that you might live well with others, so that you can actually be free. So I want you to take 60 seconds, take a minute in your life. We'll throw these questions on your screen. Engage these questions. Are there dark, scary places in your life that you've been avoiding, that you need to surrender to? And do you trust God with your life? Man, that's a big question. Do you actually trust that God will reveal God's self in the darkness? Whew, scary to go in there, isn't it? And are there things in your life that you need to send away? Do you need to make peace with others? Do you need to make peace with yourself? Take a moment and then we'll come back. Did I just turn? Oh, I turned it back on. I'm so glad, so grateful y'all are with us tonight. And I know 60 seconds isn't enough to go to the deep, dark places of your life and to deal with the heavy stuff. Take some time this week and do that. Do it with someone you love and trust, someone who has your best interest at heart. And listen, for those of you online, you might hear a lot of kids' voices because I promise you there's about 400 kids here. And it's a beautiful thing. And I said it to the live crowd here tonight, but if you're online, we don't have a very big kids' room here. The space we're moving into has a great big kids' room where kids can hang out and actually do something meaningful. Not that they're not doing something meaningful tonight, but they're being loud and they're having a good time, and it's a beautiful thing. So when you hear the noises, welcome it, embrace it. It's kids being kids. Remember, that's how kids are, and we love it. All right, y'all, I want to introduce you to our guest storyteller in the house tonight, Brandon Nelson. 5 months sober. He and his family are, man, when did y'all start coming to Free? February. February, March, April. I still have to use my, so they've been coming here about 4 months. Oh, come on, y'all do the same thing. They've been coming here about 4 months, so I remember when you all walked in. Who's this hot mess of a character walking in 30 days sober? And, man, guys, it's a beautiful thing to see. If you saw our video from last week, you saw a man who's getting his family back and his kids back, and you said of your dad that you don't have shame around this stuff because he's proving to you right now that he wants to be with you. Isn't that what you said? That's such a cool thing to see. I'm so glad you guys are part of this community. And Nelson's, we love you. He's our star pitcher on our softball team. Yeah, so don't go anywhere. Y'all help me welcome Brandon Nelson. Can you imagine trying to talk to this guy without coffee? Do you need anything to drink?
No, I'm good.
You
I
sure?
think I
Okay.
think I'm good.
All right.
Yeah. You said star pitcher, but don't ask me what my ERA is.
We're not going to talk about that, Brandon.
Okay.
You know what? This dude shows up every week. He's on time, and you're getting a lot better, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, the truth is, he really is good. We as a team are getting a lot better.
yeah.
And we'd
We
be
are.
lost without you. All
We
right, dude,
are.
let's jump into things, shall we?
All right. Yeah.
So, Brandon, you are 5 months sober. Got out of rehab. Oh, y'all, I got to tell you this story. I meant to start with this. What was it, about a month ago when I asked for you to share tonight?
Yeah.
It was about.
yeah.
It was actually the first week of the series. I remember it. It was the week we talked
Yeah,
about
so it
why
was
we
about
don't do
5 weeks.
shame,
Yeah.
and it was a Saturday night after the service. And I said, Brandon, I would love for you to share on this week, and the title is "You Are Free." Brandon starts crying, and I'm like, oh shoot, this dude was nervous. But no, it was because you said, oh my goodness, that is such a big week for me because that's when I walk out of Footprints, right?
Yep, yep.
That's when I get done with the program, the
Yeah.
treatment.
Yeah.
And you said, what a big week for me, and the fact that I would be sharing that week. And so it was this moment of gratitude for you, right? Like a big moment.
Yeah. I mean,
Talk
it
about
was. I mean, it was just feeling the presence of God, just like in my chest and my body in that moment, and it just was like, I don't know. I'm a big timing guy. Like when I really hear God when things align and when they fall into place. And so when you just kind of picked that date like at random, I was thinking, I was like, why is that that seems like a big week to me. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll be 5 months sober and I'll be getting out of a 5-month recovery program that has changed my life.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, dude. I'm so glad you said yes. I'm so glad you're done with treatment. But let's talk a bit about surrender. Because as we know, I don't know if I said this in the message, but surrender isn't just a one-time thing, right? It's not like we surrender, then we're done. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Surrender is a way of life.
Yeah.
But what was surrender like for you? And particularly as you were laying in the hospital bed, what was that moment of surrender like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was, so Lauren and I, we were talking with our counselor, and it was early December, and we were trying to decide whether or not we were going to try to get through the holidays with the kids and try to push it And then I had expressed to the therapist on the phone my withdrawal symptoms. If I hadn't started drinking, in the afternoon, in the evening, what I'd start dealing with. And she was like, "You need to be in rehab by the end of the week."
Yeah.
So we made a conscious decision that I was going to spend the holidays in treatment. Well, they found some things in my blood work, and they took me to the hospital on December 24th, and I called Lauren that day, and I said, "You can tell my mom, but I asked her not to tell the kids because of Christmas." And I told her that she wasn't going to come down because I didn't want them to spend Christmas Eve in a hospital with me. And the nurse was coming in, and they retook some blood work, and my numbers actually went in the wrong direction. So she goes, "Well, the doctors have called for an ultrasound, and they're concerned about potential gallbladder stuff." And I said, "So like what? Am I going into surgery?" And she goes, "Well, if it's bad enough, maybe, but we'll just see." And I just laid back, and I can still see the ceiling in that room.
Yeah.
And it was just like, is this the life you want? Like, is this where you want to be on Christmas Eve alone, maybe going in for surgery? And I just remember total surrender in that
Yeah.
moment. Just
I
praying
think
to
recovery
God.
is always asking us that question. Do you want to be free?
Yeah.
Do you want to have the most meaningful life
Yeah.
possible? I mean, do you want to have eternal life? When the ancient Jewish people talked about eternal life, it was always about, do you want the fullest kind of life? And I also want to say this. Do y'all see how it's always a family thing? So when addicts and alcoholics try to pull that BS and say, no, I'm not hurting anybody but myself.
Yeah.
Here you are, Christmas Eve. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit you so hard. Christmas Eve night, laying in a hospital bed, a time when you should be celebrating, trying to figure out how
Yep.
you're not going to tell your kids why dad's not home.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why, and I love that y'all come as a family. I love that we have families in this space because it's not just an individual thing. It's a family thing. It's a loved one thing. That's why we say we're a place for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. Keep going, Brandon.
Yeah, and so I prayed. I prayed as hard as I've ever prayed before. When I was losing my father and I was losing my oldest brother, I prayed really hard, and this was in that category of prayer. And praise to God. I mean, my numbers are getting balanced and all that, so I'm really fortunate where I sit today. But whenever I start getting squirrely, or whenever I start getting in my head and the disease starts working my thinking, that's where my sponsor asked me to go, is go back to the 24th. Go back to the 12th when Lauren did the 5 mile per hour drive-by, kicked me out of the car at rehab. Rightfully so.
Amen, Lauren. And so, Brandon, you were in the hospital bed. You get out of the hospital. You went on a vacation with your family to in October before you got sober, and you were telling me the story of how you just couldn't handle life, and you wanted to watch a football game, and too much chaos was around you, and what it was like to tell Lauren and the kids, "I'm going to the bar."
Yeah, because we left for Florida, and I was kind of being ambiguous with, well, am I going to stay sober on this trip? Because, it really wasn't, my drinking wasn't very welcome around the family at that time. And I knew that I was...
Because I'm guessing it didn't bring out your best self, right?
No.
Let's just state the obvious.
And so I was on about 24 hours without a drink, and I was sitting down in our hotel room, and I was trying to stream this game on my laptop, and it wasn't working, and it was just like the anger and the, but it was just because I was in my next drink,
Yeah.
and I couldn't have it. I didn't know what it was, so I was getting angry, and I knew that I had to get away, and so I went to Lauren, and I looked at her and I said, "I got to go," and she goes, "Where are you going?" And I just go, I'm going to the bar.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if she asked why or anything like that, but I actually cried at that bar by myself because I finally understood what it meant or what it means to say you can't drink anymore, but you also can't not drink.
Yeah.
And
It's
that
a
was
surrender moment,
Yeah,
right?
that was when I was like, I've got to find another way here. And it wasn't until actually right before I went to treatment. We went to treatment. I mean, you guys were home. I was just at a.
It's a family thing, isn't it?
I actually spoke with my mom's husband on the phone, and he said that I needed to pull my relationship of my father, religion, and God, and separate the three, and that was the
You said
beginning.
this?
Yeah,
Wise advice, man.
yeah, and that was the beginning of me finding the alternative, because I heard it just recently, actually, that that there's that. Well, I won't quote it because I'll screw it up.
I
But
like your honesty, man. We're talking about honesty tonight.
basically, you can drink or you can not drink, but you can still be in your disease.
Yeah. Yeah.
But recovery is something completely different.
Yeah.
And that's what God has done in my life, is shown me the path to recovery to
Yes.
where
So that's what I want to get to. Talk to us about. So you went into treatment, did the whole treatment thing, sober for 5 months, just finished your fourth and fifth step. And I don't want to get deep in the weeds of the 12 steps, but
Sure.
I want the work of the 12 steps. What it looked like for you to get honest, the fear in that, the fear of going into those dark places. I mean, what the process looked like for you?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of fear. The nice thing was I just stayed in prayer, and as I was getting ready to go to share with another human being the exact nature of my wrongs, it just came over me like God just was like, you're doing this fifth step with your sponsor, not with your father, because my dad demanded perfection, and that's been something that I've really had to, and still am learning to work with. Even sitting here, I'm going through. I got to be perfect. And then I'm like, no, release it. Like
Yeah.
just pray to God. You're fine. And but that was really a lot of my work. Was at the end of it realizing I've got to forgive myself so I can learn to love myself.
Ooh, say that again for the people in the back to hear.
I have to learn to forgive myself so I can learn to love myself.
Yeah. And don't you think it's wise? So some of you know the line from the Big Book of AA. There's a line that says, it's about progress, not perfection.
100%.
Like,
yeah.
isn't the whole
Yeah.
thing? I mean, life's journey is about progress, not, I mean, perfection sucks. Who wants that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell us, Drew said he does. You talk to him later, Brandon.
Okay.
He needs some wisdom. So in closing, Brandon, we just have a couple of minutes left. Tell us, what does being free mean to you? What does free mean to you?
For anyone that saw Bailey speak,
Who's Bailey?
my daughter,
How old is she?
she's 12. She probably put it as best as I can. Addiction is a prison that you live in. And the hard thing is that you don't even know that you're in it. I mean, I got to spend 45 minutes in the car with her the other night, just driving home from a field trip. If I'm in my addiction, I can't do that. I've got freedom to me is getting my family back, but getting a relationship with them back. Like when I was just trying not to drink in that hotel room, that wasn't freedom. That was me being stuck. Recovery allows me to be with my family, not be in my next drink or be in my next day or whatever. And so freedom is just the ability to breathe and enjoy a moment. And like I said, for me, I didn't even know that I was locked up. I thought I could do it. And it wasn't until I surrendered that that freedom became possible through God for me.
This is the same dude that said, I don't know, was it a month ago? It was our first softball game. And we lost our first softball game. That's all right, though. This dude pipes up and says in the ninth inning, our star pitcher, says, so what? I couldn't be out here 4 months ago even playing softball on a Sunday afternoon, and look at me now.
Yeah.
Like, that's what recovery does for us. I mean, that's why I love this community and conversations like this, because we get to watch someone get their life back and be present for 45 minutes in the car with your daughter. Mm-hmm. That's a miracle. It's a gift. It's all just a gift, and we get to be a part of that here. Listen, I want to let you know, if you are struggling, if you're barely hanging on, if you're the guy or the gal in the hotel room saying, man, I can't not drink. I can't drink and I can't not drink. If you're barely hanging on and you're like, man, I'm hearing his story, and if he can do it, maybe I can do it. I want you to reach out. Reach out. Put it in the comments if you're watching online. If you're here in person and that's you, stick around and talk to Brandon afterwards. Talk to some. Don't leave here without connecting with somebody. If you're online, put it in the comments, because one thing I know about this community is we will connect with you. If you reach out for help, you will get a whole host of people saying, I'll help you. Here's my phone number. Some of you all will put your phone number in the comments in public, and that's cool. I love it. But you got to reach out. Brandon, anything you want to say in closing?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were...
Yeah. We got Bailey's video if you want to play it. Should we play it? Yeah. Let's play it. I didn't know we had this. Let's close with this. Brandon, I love you, brother.
This will be a good mic drop.
Yes, it will. Let's see it.
When it comes to my dad being an addict, I don't feel shame or embarrassed. I feel proud because to see him actually getting help and wanting to stay with us, that makes me feel really good that he wants to stay with us, and it shows that he loves us, and I know that he loves us, and I don't have shame around him at all. I love him.
I'm so glad y'all are part of this community. Thank you for being here
We are
tonight.
too. Thank you
I'm
for
glad
having
you're
us.
sober, dude.
Yeah, me too.
So glad for your recovery. All right, y'all. Yeah, you can go sit with your family. Yeah, let's do that. The bravery that you all display each and every week just by showing up. Man, it's so awesome to see. The way we end things here at Free is with heartaches. Because what I know about this community is we can carry some heartache around. And what I know about y'all and myself is We weren't meant to carry those heavy burdens by ourselves. It's too dang heavy. You've got to carry it with other people. You've got to let other people in to carry the load. So what we do in this community is we take 3 minutes, and we, just like we do with celebrations, y'all, if you're online, if you're on the YouTube or the Facebook or the website, whatever, you just got to put it in the comments. Again, we have a prayer team on site here, and we're going to be praying for you this week. If you drop it in the comments, we're going to try to connect with you. And if you're in person in the house here tonight, well, we'll do our own thing just in person here. But take 3 minutes, and it's your opportunity to get vulnerable. I know it can feel a little awkward, like, oh, should I say that? Should I not say that? Nobody knows me. Yeah, get vulnerable. Something really powerful and profound happens when 1,000 other people are joining you in that encouraging word and that prayer, lifting you up through the week. So take a moment and get vulnerable. There's nothing creepy about that. We need to do this work together. So we'll be right back. Take 3. Dude, thanks for sharing that with us. All right, we're back live with y'all. Oh, are you coming? Are you joining me, Derek?
Joining you this time.
My wife says you're joining me.
Yeah. So you get stuck with me. Hopefully you don't get me all hot. Thank you.
Turn yourself on and let's do this. All right, here we go. Who says recovery isn't fun, right?
Well, we get to do this, right?
We get to do this. That's exactly right. You take the first one. I'll take the second one.
Gotcha.
Online.
Brenda, prayers for our family as we're going through a difficult time right now. Thank you. Prayers for you, Brenda.
Yeah, praying for you, Brenda. I'm glad you're here tonight. Nisi, this is my mother-in-law, Tammy's mom. Unexpected loss of my 57-year-old nephew. He was a counseling pastor. He had a seizure/aneurysm while counseling a couple in a restaurant. And y'all, this was just two nights ago. So thank you, Nisi, for mentioning this and lifting it up. We as a community are going to lift this up, and for the whole family experiencing grief, unexpected loss. Yeah, I'm glad you're here. Yeah.
Deborah.
My
Florida,
stepmom. We've got all the family members in the
here.
house tonight.
It's awesome. Florida brush fires have started. Prayers for the firefighters and those homeowners in the direct path. Definitely for that.
Yeah. Thank you, Debbie, for sharing that. Prayers. Saman. She says, she was sharing her story tonight at Harmony. Does she say that in this? Maybe I should read first. Prayers still for my friend Jody and her husband, Matthew. Still no answers on his seizure. They have done a bone marrow biopsy and are awaiting results. They're leaning in hard to God, but they're getting weary. They need all the prayers they can get. We are going to lift them up. Jody and her husband, Matthew, and everyone affected by that situation. Thank you, Saman, for sharing that with us. Go ahead, D.
Brian, my aunt was in and out of the hospital last week with COVID. Today they put her back in with an infection of some sort. She's mostly alone and afraid. We definitely send you prayers, Brian.
Yeah. Brian, thanks for mentioning that, man. Prayers for you, brother. Roy, he says, I have a cousin in New Hampshire. Is that New Hampshire, NH? Mm-hmm. That's New Hampshire. Harold Miller, who had a stent put on the left side of his heart for 80% blockage. He goes in the 24th to have another stent put in the right side of the heart to correct 90% blockage. Prayers for Harold Miller all the way in New Hampshire. Thank you for mentioning that, Roy. Prayers for him.
Love you, Roy. Elizabeth, my sister's on 72-hour hold right now. Got a pretty scary diagnosis today. Praying she's home soon with us healthy and on a road towards recovery. That's right, Elizabeth. We definitely give that to God, and we have prayers for her.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Elizabeth. Shall we do one more? Let's do one more. And the same we do with celebrations. Y'all can keep heartaches coming. You can keep them coming through the week. We're going to lift you up in prayer. Prayers for my trip to the Western Slope tomorrow to make amends after decades of being estranged with my mother before major surgery in Junction Monday afternoon. God has a plan. Amen. Yeah, Chris, thank you for mentioning that to this community, and I believe you're living into God's plan by going. So I'm glad you're going. Prayers for you. Man, that's the hard work, isn't it? The amends. Yeah, dude, say it.
You just brought something up to my heart earlier when you said sometimes our heartaches and our celebrations go hand in hand. And a little over a year ago, you guys were planning on moving, and a heartache pandemic hit. And we weren't sure about what's going to happen in trials and steps of faith. And tonight, a celebration, seeing this place packed wall to wall, and us following those steps of recovery and God. It's just awesome because this last year has been a heartache. It's been hard to connect, and people are trying to connect. And this just brings me absolute hope and faith that God's plan for this place is something bigger, and we're moving something bigger. And it is so cool to see that we went through those trials, and in that trial, we got to have joy tonight, and people are connecting, and kids are laughing and running around. Mm-hmm. What a heartache this year was. But here we are about to step into something beautiful. So I thank God for that.
Good word.
Amen.
Thank you, D.
Yep.
Love you, brother. Thanks for being here. All right, y'all, before we depart, let me just remind you, we had a really cool person call me on the way here, and he said, hey, I will match any donations up to $2,500 for anyone that gives tonight until the end of the night. So if you want to do that and you want it matched, do it before 11:59. Thank you. We just got a check, and it's, thank you. Thank you very much. You can give checks to me, too. I'll deposit them in the morning, I promise. All right, guys, if you want to do that, go online, freespiritualcommunity.com, and do it there, or hand them directly to me. So grateful for y'all. It only makes sense tonight for us to close with what prayer? I think we need to close with the Lord's Prayer. So I want to invite you all, find a quiet space in your life, in your heart, in the moment that you're in right now. And when we get to that line, give us this day our daily bread, just pause for just a moment. I know we're not used to it. We do it so rotely, don't we? Pause for a moment. So if you're at home, if you're in your living room, if you're in the kitchen, if you're in the bathroom, just stop what you're doing and put your hands open. It's a sign of openness for what God's doing all around us, and a sign of receiving. And if you don't know the Lord's Prayer, it's on the screen for you. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. My free brothers and sisters, you are free if you want to be free. This week be work of surrender and forgiveness, and this week may you experience all kinds of grace and peace. Love y'all. We'll see you next week. Peace out. Good stuff, brother.